Okay, now we go on to page 109, SD 46.9, Panchaka Sota Sutta. The five discourse on the listener, A5 140. So here, Sota means listener. This is only the first quality. There are five of them. So the sutta takes the name of the first quality, first factor, as its title. These are the five qualities of a truly worthy monastic, or you can include a lay practitioner also. We can practice all this to the best of our ability. Now, these five qualities are very similar to the four qualities of the Chatuka Naga Sutta, A4 114, and under SD 46.8. And here we have an extra quality. So once again, let us reflect on this teaching to remind us of how we, whether we are monastic or lay, how we can direct our energies, our vision in the right way. So here again we have like the Chatuka Naga Sutta, we have a mirror sutta. You have the sutta kind of divided into almost exactly half. The first half talks of something familiar to the world, to the people. That's about the royal bull elephant. And then the second half is about the monastic or the renunciant with five worthy qualities. Let's look at the first part now. The Buddha opens the teaching by saying, Bhikshus, a royal bull elephant that possesses five qualities is worthy of the king, of service to the king, and is reckoned as a limb or an emblem of the king. Right, so what kind of elephant is a royal insignia, royal emblem? It is a noble being. So what are the five qualities that make this elephant special? Here, Bhikshus, the royal bull elephant is a listener, a destroyer, a warder, a forbearer, and a goer. So here in this group of five, you have an extra quality, that is the middle one, a warder. So let's find out in a moment what this means. Now the Buddha explains the first quality, the royal bull elephant that listens. And how, Bhikshus, is the royal bull elephant a listener, a sota? Here, Bhikshus, whatever task the elephant trainer gives it, whether it has done it before or not, the royal bull elephant is receptive, pays attention to it, fully directs its mind to it, with ready ear, listens to it. Thus, Bhikshus is the royal bull elephant, a listener. So this elephant is very intelligent, is able to understand instructions, able to respond to it accurately, and to perform it most ably. Then number two, the royal bull elephant that destroys. This is section 3. And how, Bhikshus, is the royal bull elephant a destroyer, hunter? Here, Bhikshus, when the royal bull elephant has gone into battle, it destroys elephant and mahout, the elephant and the elephant rider. It destroys chariot and charioteer. It destroys the infantry. Thus, Bhikshus, is the royal bull elephant a destroyer. So it's a very fierce animal. It's a fighter. It's a very powerful part of the ancient. And how, Bhikshus, is the royal bull elephant a warder? So here we have a new word, rakita. Rakita means warder, protector. Here, Bhikshus, when the royal bull elephant has gone into battle, it protects its forepart, the front part, and hind part, forelegs and hind legs, head and ears, tusk and tail, trunk and rider. Notice the last one is special, the Mahout, that is the elephant rider. So this elephant is able to guard itself well, it's able to guard the rider also. So yes, it is circumspect, this elephant. So in that sense, this is a very clever elephant. Normally, this would be the king's elephant. This bhikshus is the royal, in this way, bhikshus is the royal bull elephant, a warder. Now the fourth quality, the royal bull elephant that forbears, that is patient. Section 5. And how bhikshus is the royal bull elephant, a forbearer, kanta, from which comes the word kanti, meaning patience. Here bhikshus, when the royal bull elephant has gone into battle, it endures being hit by spears, by swords, and by arrows, and endures the sounds and din of the beri or conical drum, cymbals, conch shells, and the dindima, the small drum. Thus bhikshus is the royal bull elephant of forbearer. So this elephant is not afraid of any kind of chaos, of noise. It stands its grounds, it follows instructions. It's a formidable warrior. Now the last quality of this noble elephant, the elephant that goes rightly. And how bhikshus is the royal bull elephant, a goer, ganta. Here bhikshus, in whatever direction the elephant trainer sends the royal bull elephant, whether or not it has gone there before, it quickly goes there. Right, so this elephant is mobile, is strong, is able to move in any direction, especially during a battle, or when the king goes hunting, for example, he uses this elephant, or traveling. So a royal bull elephant bhikshus that possesses these 5 qualities is worthy of the king, of service to the king, is reckoned as a limb, an emblem of the king. So here we see this very special elephant with these qualities being honored as the highest of its kind in the world, right? So using this familiar metaphor, the Buddha now talks about the qualities of a renunciant, the renunciant with 5 worthy qualities, the 5 qualities of a worthy monastic, if you like. In the same way, bhikshus, a monk who possesses 5 qualities is worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of gifts, worthy of salutation with the lotus palms, a supreme field of merit for the world. What are the 5? Here, bhikshus among is a listener, a destroyer, a warder, a forbearer, and a goer. So here again we see the same 5 qualities, which the people are familiar with in the elephant. Now the Buddha applies these qualities to a monk. So in the audience probably were quite curious, how does this happen, right? So the Buddha explains. Number 1, the renunciant who is a listener. And how bhikshus is a monk, a listener, sota. Here bhikshus, when the Dhamma Vinaya, the teaching and discipline declared by the Tathagata is being taught, he is receptive, pays attention to it, fully directs his mind to it with ready ear and listens to it. So a true renunciant as such is a good listener. In fact, sota here refers to the ability and willingness to listen, but the one who listens well, who has heard well, he is called a savaka. A savaka also comes from the same root as sota, having something to do with hearing. Savaka usually translates in English as disciple, right? But the literal rendition of it is listener. So in the one who listens well, because with listening comes wisdom. So in a sense, here we're talking about the cultivation of wisdom. Then number 2, the renunciant is a destroyer. And how bhikshus is a monk a destroyer, hunter? Here bhikshus, a monk does not tolerate any essential thought that has a reason. He abandons, dispels, and makes an end of it, brings it to non-existence. Right, so here we see essential thought. This is the craving. The moment any kind of thought related to this defilement arises, the monk pushes it away. And then same thing, it does not tolerate any thought of ill will. Ill will is kind of the other side of the coin. When you have craving, you have ill will. So same thing, he will push it away. He will cultivate loving kindness and so on. And then thirdly, he does not tolerate any thought of violence that has a reason. So he works on it to push it away, remove it totally. So here your essential thought of ill will, thought of violence is all these three are called wrong thoughts. So they are overcome by this monk in his meditation. Right? So here, in the first quality shows him as being a student, learning the Dharma. The second quality shows him as a meditator, as a mindful person. Now the third quality, the renunciant, who is a warder, protector. And how bhikshus is among a warder, rakita. Here we go deeper into the meditative stage. Okay? Right, so we are on page 113, 113. So here bhikshus, among seeing a form with the eye, grasp neither its sign nor its detail. Okay, this is the most important line for us to understand. This is the practice of restraint. This is one way of preventing stress, negative emotions, and bad karma, if you like. When we see a form with the eye, we should not grasp the sign or the detail. Especially here it refers to a negative situation. Okay? This line shows how clearly the Buddha observes the way the mind works. In other words, we can ask a question here is, how does negative emotion arise? How do people get angry? How do people get jealous? How do people become violent? It's because they notice something, we say something, and then they look for everything connected with it. The something is called the sign, nimitta. Okay? Let's say you go shopping. You go to a shopping mall, and in the shopping mall they arrange things brightly lit and colorful. So that catches your eye, and that's called the nimitta. The moment you see something, you see a flash of color, you say, oh, that looks familiar, and then your attention is drawn to that object, then you start examining it. You say, oh, okay, let's see, what is this? Those are the details, the vyanjana. So here, the Buddha is saying, if you want to control your mind, the moment you notice a sight, a vision which is negative, immediately turn your eyes away to something more suitable. So do not grasp at the sign. Once you let go of the sign, you are safe. Let's say you are sitting in a train and you see someone you do not like. Now if you keep on looking at this person, you start thinking, you are absorbing all these negative qualities, and that's a very nasty thing, very dangerous thing you're doing to yourself, because you're building up this very negative state in you, and it's like turning this spring tightly, and one day it's going to you just press the button and zap, it will hurt someone and hurt yourself. So the idea is to turn away immediately from the sign. So the Buddha goes on and says, so long as he dwells unrestrained in that eye faculty, bad, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure may not overwhelm him. To that extent, he therefore, as long as he keeps his attention in that direction, desire and hating, like and dislike, will overcome him, overwhelm him. To that extent, he therefore keeps himself restrained. So for that reason, he turns his mind away from it. So this is a very important counseling technique. It's a method of preventing stress, and pain, and negative states of mind. He practices the restraint of it, restraint of the senses it is. He guards the restraint of the eye faculty. He commits himself to the restraint of the eye faculty. So here, how is he a protector? How is he a warder? How is this renunciant a warder? He protects himself from what he sees. Then number 2, hearing a sound with the ear, he grasps neither its sign nor its details. So long as he dwells unrestrained in that ear faculty, bad, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure may not overwhelm him. Right? So, to that extent, he therefore keeps himself restrained. So here, if he's not mindful, then negative states will arise in him. So he's careful to immediately nip it in the bud, so to speak. So here's a sound, which someone saying something negative, he will either turn away, go away, or turn his mind to some loving kindness, or just reflect as just sound, and let it go. So in that way, he guards himself against sound as the source of negative states of mind. Same thing with smell, that's section 3. Smelling a smell with the nose, he grasps neither its sign nor its details. Right, so it smells, of course, unpleasant smell. Okay, so it just says it smells, it lets it go. And when there's a pleasant smell, same thing. It's just a smell, it does not get carried away by it, drawn to it, so that negative states of mind will arise. And then number 4, tasting a taste with the tongue, he grasps neither its sign nor its details. This is very interesting, and we won't know this until we kind of either join a retreat or we have become a monk for a while. So here, as lay people, we enjoy our food, we try to taste it and get all the nice taste. We can even give a lecture on it, perhaps. Whereas in the case of the monk, we will just kind of chew his food. Well, in the first place, the monk will mix up all this food together. It becomes almost like swill. He does not say, okay, I'll eat the rice first and then eat the curry and then eat that, eat this, and then I'll have my dessert, things like that. Well, although some families, especially rich families, will offer monks that way, the forest monks will just kind of mix the food up, and they take it as food, like fuel, and they put the food, they only open their mouth the moment the food touches the mouth, and then they take it in, and they will just chew it as food. They do not say, oh, what food is this? They just chew it mindfully, and in that sense, whatever they eat is always kind of makes them happy. So in that sense, they guard themselves in terms of taste. And then number 5, how does he guard himself against touch? So feeling a touch with the body, he grasps neither the sign nor its details. So here again, touch refers to the weather especially, or being stung by mosquitoes, or feeling some kind of discomfort, he may notice it, but he kind of lets it go. Of course, these are minor things. If he really feels kind of a great discomfort, of course, it would be natural for him, say, to change his posture, things like that. Here, basically, is that he should not be so preoccupied with discomfort so that he get distracted. So, to do this, of course, at the start, he has to prepare himself well. For example, if he's meditating, he should prepare, sit well, get the right posture. Of course, before that, he should not eat too much and yet not to starve himself till he's sick. And maybe wash himself clean and things like that, prepare well for the meditation, then he'll be comfortable. And if despite all that, certain discomfort, certain pains may still trouble him, or rather he may touch him, he still does not let them trouble him, in other words. So he guards himself against touch. And that's the meaning of feeling here. Now the last one is quite difficult. Number 6, knowing a mind object with a mind, he grasps neither its sign nor its detail. Now in the worst case scenario, someone who meditates and is not mindful, a thought comes along, and then this person would follow the thought, and then this thought kind of builds up, proliferates, and then we are lost in thought. We're not meditating anymore, right? So here is, in other words, here the meditator knows the moment the thought arises, an extraneous thought, a distraction, something different from the object, he at once pushes it away, maybe with a smile. So in that sense, he does not grasp the sign. Then he goes on with his meditation. So here you have the 6 senses, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, and the monk is adept, is good in pushing them away when they arise to distract him. Now the 4th quality, the monk or the renunciant who is a forbearer, someone who is patient, kanta. Here bhikshus among bears, heat, cold, hunger, thirst, the touch of mosquitoes, flies, the wind, the sun, and creeping creatures, endures the ways of words ill-spoken, unwelcome, and the reasoned bodily feelings that are painful, racking, sharp, piercing, repugnant, disagreeable, deadly. Thus, bhikshus, the monk is a forbearer. Now, you notice this. It is a kind of more intense version of the previous section. Here, the monk is patient. So here, heat and cold. Sometimes, the monk in the forest, he only has at most 2 ropes. And if it's very cold, he will double up the rope and wrap himself around it. And he goes into meditation to keep himself warm. Then some days he might not get any food on his alms round, so he might have to go hungry. And the Buddha sometimes praises, says, the monk who is very thin and you can see his veins and so on, that's the real monk. And he's even thirsty sometimes, and he gets bitten by mosquitoes and so on. And if he's a forest monk living in the forest, we're talking about some place very remote. So he has to kind of take care of himself. If he does fall sick, he has to take care of himself. He has to bear the pain and somehow get out of it, and then continues meditation. Of course, if he's really sick, he will somehow find his way to some monastery or even a home and ask for help. He's able to do that. So basically here, the monk is taught to be self-reliant, not to give up, because it's not an easy life if it's really a serious renunciant. And this is what to expect. So it's a kind of like a a prospectus, a brochure for those who are interested in the life of a renunciant. So it's not something glamorous. So you got to be prepared for all these difficulties, because the idea is to rise above your bodies, to overcome your body limits. And finally, the last quality of a true renunciant, the monk who is a goer. Here the Buddha talks about the goal, the purpose, the benefit, the blessing of being a renunciant, of the Buddhist life. And our bhikshus is among a goer, ganta. Here bhikshus among arrives in those quarters where in this long journey he has never been before. Now here the Buddha is saying something very spiritual in an almost mundane way. He's using words in a very special way, almost teasing us. He says, well, this monk arrives in an area which he has not reached before. But it's no place on earth at all here. Because if you read the following section, the Buddha says, that is to say, the stilling of all formations. So none of these are places. These are benefits of training. The stilling of all formation. Sabba sankhara samatha. Here, in simple terms, we can talk about here formations refer to thoughts, speech, and action. When he calms them, he talks less, thinks less, and restrains his actions, and he does everything mindfully, and he sees the impermanence in all these actions. And then in the end, his mind is peaceful. Then with that, he works on the relinquishing of all substrates. Here, substrate is an ancient term referring to all those things all the defilements like karma and the five aggregates that keep us in this world. So he is careful to make sure that nothing will burden him further, slow him down in his progress on the path. Whatever slow him down are called the substrates. You can say these are the burden that will slow his journey towards awakening. There is a saying in the Dhammapada, bail out this boat, O monks. When the boat is empty, it moves swiftly. So the boat is the body. Don't be distracted. Simplify your life so you'll be happy that way. Now, so when he does that, the next one, the Buddha says, comes the destruction of craving. Craving is an aspect of ignorance that keeps us going in samsara, prevents us from awakening. So, and when craving is overcome, there is the fading away of wanting this, wanting that, fading away of lust. And when lust is gone, suffering ends, the ending of suffering. And when suffering ends, that is nirvana. There is a sutta on nirvana where the Buddha says he's going to talk about nirvana in metaphorical terms, so to speak. So when we end anger, that is nirvana, so to speak. So there is nirvana in a moment. In other words, the nirvana of the anger is gone. It doesn't arise anymore. But see, of course, nirvana refers to the kind of final state. He himself quickly arrives at this. Thus bhikshus, the monk is a goer. So goer here means progress. He moves on. He does not stop. He goes on with the training until he reaches at least stream winning on the path. Thus, the sutta closes with the Buddha saying, among bhikshus who possesses these 5 qualities is worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of gifts, worthy of salutation with the lotus palms, a supreme field of merit for the world. And so ends the sutta here. Okay, any comments or questions?
Here on page 114.
Yeah.
Bottom, note 26.
Yes.
It says a person under 20 is unlikely to be able to endure these hardships, therefore not allowed to be ordained. Is that a universal practice? Because I thought in Thailand and Tibet they are very young boys going.
Oh, here ordained meaning to become a monk, a bhikkhu. Novice, the rule is roughly about 7 years old, I think. The rule is interesting because the rule actually says he's able to stone crows. That's what the Vinaya says. Stone the crows. In other words, you see a crow there is able to like throw the stone, not to hurt the crow, but chase away the crow. The idea here is to make sure that this boy has his faculties are there. He's able to be independent and is intelligent, healthy enough.
But you won't know that until the boy grows up. Usually, the character takes time to develop.
Yeah, here is the fact that he is able to be independent in the sense that on his own, right now. Okay, that he's willing to live alone or with other monks, live home and so on. But generally speaking, probably around 7. Yeah, so we do get. But in Thailand, I think the general practice is when they are teenage, usually. Because if the 7 have got to be very young, unless they are very intelligent. And most of these novices are very intelligent because they'll be on their own, basically living like a boarding school. and except it's a bit more regimented, I think. So 7 is for novices, and when a novice reaches 20, he can ordain if he wants, or he might extend a bit more. But in Thailand, they find it rather strange if you stay on as a novice after you are 20. Usually they would expect you to be a monk so that you can keep the Vinaya rules fully. So here we say 20 full years. No? Any other questions?
Talking about watching the mind with the mind.
Yeah.
So is that referring to meditation only, or?
No, I mean, both meditation and mindfulness practice. Or you can use one word, mindfulness. Because whenever you're watching the mind, technically you are not in meditation yet. You're not in jhana anyway. If you are totally focused on watching the mind, then you are meditating. But only when you totally don't do that, you are totally at peace, then you are concentrated. Then there is samadhi. So before that, we would say you're being mindful. The mind is fully focused on dealing with the distraction to push it away. So in a sense, the mind is focused, but there is activity there. So if there is activity, then we don't say it's jhana yet. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is the last sentence in this sutta, 115. Number 15. Among bhikshus who possesses these 5 qualities is worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of gifts, worthy of salutation and lotus bounds, and so on. But these are not the only qualities, right, that the monk should have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, these are more like how the lay people interact with the monk. That's the social aspect. So what sort of monk should we support? It answers the question, what sort of monk should we support? It's one aspect. There are, of course, other aspects. Here, this is from the reflection on the Sangha. Here you can see what is the Pali word there. You have ahuneyo. Okay, it comes from the word ahuna, which is these are offerings thrown into the fire worship. So basically, what the Buddha is saying is, it's such a waste of food to just throw away in prayers. You must also offer it to the monks who live on alms. Okay, so that is ahuna. So ahuneyo means one is worthy of receiving such thing which you throw into the fire, which is wasted. And I mean, in ritual offering, for example, here you find people do prayers. They put food on the ground, they leave it there, and they waste it. You see? And then pahuneyo refers to hospitality. You keep open house, welcome these monks on alms round. Then dakineyo, that is the worthy of gifts here refers to the offerings to teachers, honorarium. Because in the Buddha's time, even in China, you find these healthy young people, they will go far away in some mountains to learn Kung Fu or something. As India, they'll go to these teachers and learn the various teachings and skills and so on. And then they serve the teacher. And usually at the end of it, they will make an offering to the teacher. That's called a dakina before they go away. So that is a special offering to a teacher. So this is called dakina. Dakina also means right hand, so probably when you give it the right hand. So the monk is worthy of that and worthy of being greeted with lotus palms. That is a normal social convention. In other words, you interact with them because they're good people. And they are a supreme field of merit, in other words, by helping them because of their renunciation, because they do not cook, they do not have a home. By giving them, by supporting them, you give them life. So in that way, and they're able to teach in that way. So you're doing something good in that sense. So this is the original arrangement that the Buddha made as far as the renunciants are concerned. So they see the monks and nuns as renunciants, those who, in a sense, given up the world to calm their minds, to be totally happy, so that you can see them as an example. Sometimes by just looking at them, you feel peaceful inside. Okay?
Yeah, but in the modern day context, people who support monks, they don't think about such things. They think about whether
yes, very true.
Is well versed in the Dharma, is a good teacher.
Oh, that is important too. That is important too. Yeah, but the basic, that is why we need occasionally to go back to the suttas to remember what is it that the Buddha actually stated. Otherwise, we go on digressing, and as that over decades, over generation, we totally, in the end, you see there's no difference between a monk and a layman. To a certain extent, we are heading that way. That's because we have been neglecting the suttas. That we keep forgetting what exactly are the monks and nuns supposed to do because of the so-called modernizing and so on. So people keep drifting away. So, but there are still such monks available, and these are the people, the practitioners that we treasure, because it is from them that you can see the deep feeling of calmness and peace. And when you talk, say, with a scholar monk, with a salaried monk, and you talk with this truly practicing forest monk, you see a world of difference. You can I sat with 2 hours with a forest monk, and all he talked about was Vinaya. And I can still feel that peace and joy to just hear him speak. He speaks gently, clearly, calmly from his own experience. Whereas when you listen to a scholar monk, it's like a lecture. After a while, you tire of it. And in the end, you find you can read about it in books, or you can find it quite anywhere, actually. So the idea is, how would a truly good renunciant stand before you and exude the spirituality to you? How do you have this kind of person, in other words, a naturally good person, So it's not easy to get. So what the Buddha is saying, it is possible if you follow these teachings. We are talking about a high standard, the true standards of spirituality here. In other words, what the Buddha is saying, it is still possible. It may be difficult, but it is still possible. So even in our daily life as busy people, we like to have moments away just to be ourselves, to be at peace with ourselves, to spend some quiet moments like that, so that our daily life is more meaningful, is more worthwhile. Otherwise, in the end, we may have everything in the world and then we say, what is all really about? And we may not have the wisdom to, despite all these great things that we have. So here what the Buddha is saying is putting quality for lay people into our worldly life, so that we find whatever we have are really worth it, something we can really enjoy in the sense that there is joy in it. So it is possible, in other words. Any other thing? Any questions? Okay, that's good. So we end here then. Well, let us now just calm ourselves for a short moment to remember this very wonderful occasion of having a chance to spend peacefully with the Dharma, looking within ourselves, into our higher nature. The Buddha is reminding us how we can, by just calming our emotions, calming our senses, see our true self, and in that way we are not lost in the things of the world, but they bring us true joy. We're able to be part of the world and yet not being carried away by it. In that sense, we can be truly happy even as lay practitioners. Reflecting in this way is very good karma, but the power of such karma, may we be blessed with joy, peace, good health, wisdom, and the perseverance to continue doing our good work, our Dhamma work, and be blessed with the wisdom and courage to at least aspire to stream winning in this life itself. And by the same token, by the power of the three jewels and all the good we have done, may our loved ones to be well and happy. May they too grow in wisdom. And so too may those who are practicing the Dhamma too attain their goal in this very life. And by the power of the three jewels too, may those who are lost, have difficulties with the teaching to find their way to the true path in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.